Hello and welcome to Take Time. I'm your host Patrick Marlette, and today I'm here to share a tale of two tunas. Now, in my right, I have my pride and joy, the SBBN015 Marine Master 300 Tuna. Now, a lot of you guys have been asking for my full thoughts on this watch. It's awesome. But, of course, I'm going to give you guys a full and thorough review here on the channel. And in my left, I have a brand new watch from Seiko, the SNE499. So the SNE499 and 498, its brother, are actually two watches that are derived from the Golden Tuna, or the reference 7549 7009. Now, the SNE498 with its black and gold casing is more akin to the original Golden Tuna, while this special edition Patty version obviously has all the frills of a modern Seiko Patty watch. However, the SNE499 is still a nod to the original Tuna design. As a matter of fact, you have a very similar handset as well as an extremely similar dial, although the layout has changed a little bit. Now today I'm going to go over a brief comparison between the SNE499 and the real Seiko Tuna. Now, although the SBBN015 is the successor of the SBBN007, which also utilizes a 7C46 movement, which they've been using since the 80s, it's an incredible movement. Of course, more on that in just a second. It is also the spiritual successor to the 7549 7010, the younger brother of the Golden Tuna. So comparing these two should be quite fair, although this modern solar tuna is a reinterpretation of the original Golden Tuna. It is extremely similar to that watch in regards to a lot of its features. And I have to say, it's actually extremely similar to the rest of the previous SBBN line before the early 2000s when they switched to the current dial face and handset configuration, which you can tell by the look on my face is just another thing Seiko's upset me on. I'm used to the disappointment. And please, no more mention of the digital tuna, okay? I've already washed away those sour feelings with these two amazing watches. I don't want to think about that piece of garbage anymore. Anyways, it is Tuna Town, USA here on Take Time. If you guys follow my Instagram, you know I've been tuna obsessed as of recently. As a matter of fact, I want to pick up one of those original Golden Tunas because they're gorgeous. However, on today's video, we're going to be comparing and contrasting these two models to let you guys know not necessarily which one is better over the other, but if this is a good alternative if you don't have the budget for a Marine Master 300 Tuna. Now let's start our comparison by looking at the SNE499. It has a 46.5 millimeter diameter with a 12 millimeter thickness, which is pretty thin for a tuna case, and a 22 millimeter lug width, while our SBBN015 has a 48 millimeter diameter, a 15 millimeter thickness up to the top of that domed Hardlex crystal, and a 22 millimeter lug width again. Do note that the lug-to-lug distance is slightly shorter on both of these models, as the tips of these lugs just barely hover outside of that total diameter. But this is going to wear like a 48, and this is going to wear like a 46.5. And don't be under the misconception that it wears much smaller. It is a 48 millimeter watch. It wears kind of large, and this wears just a little less large. Now the SNE499, I just love saying that reference number, utilizes a caliber 157 solar powered movement. It has an expected tolerance of plus or minus 15 seconds monthly, with a power reserve of 10 months, and features hacking, a quick set date, and a 120 click unidirectional bezel. Now the SBBN015, as I mentioned, utilizes the caliber 7C46, which boasts an accuracy of plus or minus 15 seconds a month, very similar to our 157 solar movement. However, I've noticed accuracy, and I've read reports of the accuracy falling within Grand Seiko standard. As a matter of fact, I've had this watch for a little over a month now, and it has gained 3 seconds. It's pretty impressive. Also note that the 7C46 has a 5-year life expectancy on the battery. It has a true quick set day and date function. It hacks and features a 120 click unidirectional bezel. Now, just so you guys know, I'm not crazy. I use time.gov when I set my watches. This is accurate to the second, and as you can tell, the watch is actually pretty spot on to the current time. Now, the SNE, which arrived at my doorstep a little under a week ago, has gained a few seconds. As you can tell, it's gained about 1 second, which isn't that bad. I've had this watch in my possession for about 5 days as of recording this video. So not too shabby. 1 second within 5 days is well within the expected tolerance of this movement. Now, the dials on these two watches are extremely similar, I'm happy to say. Aside from the special edition's patty design featuring a wave background, which is sort of hard to make out in my studio lighting, the dial layouts are nearly identical. However, instead of a day and date at the 3 o'clock, we have a date at the 4 o'clock position. I have to say, I really love this design choice. Having that stylized 3 accompanying the 6, 9, and 12 hour markings really completes the look. So much so that I wish my SBBN015 was designed the same way. So the dials are relatively the same. Now, obviously, if you got the 498, it would be more similar to the matte finishing of the SBBN Tunas and its original counterpart, the golden Tuna. However, the hands are slightly different. You'll notice that the handset almost looks identical. You have the same seconds hand on the SNE, however, it's just a little bit smaller. You have the same minute hand, except it's in red and just a little bit smaller. But while you take in the hour hand, you'll notice that the design is slightly different. It's lacking that bowling pin silhouette of the hour hand on our SBBN, and of course the original golden Tuna, as well as the shape overall is slightly different. To illustrate the difference here, I've taken the liberty of moving our handset around, but you'll notice that the hour hand is suspended off a small metal shaft. So not quite the same as our other design, but pretty darn close. Now, one of the more noticeable differences about our solar Tuna here is how the watch has been loomed. Everything from the loom pip to the 15-minute mark on our bezel insert is loomed, as well as the hands and dial face. However, it is to a two-tone effect as opposed to our original Tuna, which has a nice light green tone to the loom. Though both feature hardlex crystal, the original SBBN Tunas have a domed hardlex crystal as opposed to the flat and recessed crystal on these solar Tunas. And I have to say, I actually prefer the domed effect on our Marine Master Tunas. I love how it exaggerates the character of the dial when you look at it from different angles. That little bit of distortion adds a nice life to the watch face. Now, the shrouds are quite different as well. Much like its inspiration, the SNE499 has a plastic shroud. It's slightly detailed and does the trick, but lacks the heft and presence of our Marine Master's metal shroud. You'll also notice that the walls on the sides are slightly taller on the Marine Master, covering just that much more of our bezel as opposed to the solar Tuna shroud. Now, someone was asking me if these shrouds are interchangeable on these two units, if they could buy a factory replacement metal shroud and pop it onto their solar Tuna. Unfortunately, you can't for two reasons precisely. The interior dimensions are different on these two shrouds, as well as the placement of the screw on the right-hand side of the watch. It won't allow you to replace the shroud. For that, I just recommend waiting for some aftermarket shrouds to come out, or if you know a guy, maybe have one machined for yourself. But for now, it comes on a plastic shroud. Lastly, the only other thing that's different between the solar Tuna and our previous Tunas is the fact that you get a new Seiko rubber strap equipped to it. And I have to say, these new straps are amazing. These are a huge improvement over the old hard rubber straps Seiko would serve these up on. Unfortunately, you can't get a solar Tuna stock on a bracelet as of yet. I'm sure if these are popular, you'll expect 7 different versions of this watch, 3 of which that are going to come with a bracelet. But do note that it is 22 millimeters in width, so you'll likely find a replacement very easily online. Lastly, the Solar Tuna has a water resistance rating of 200, where our Marine Master 300, guess what, has a water resistance rating of 300. However, if you're looking for an alternative to the SBBN Tuna's current or past model ranges, this is a great reinterpretation of the Tuna case design. And I am so glad that they went back to the original dial face as well as a very similar handset. It is a welcome change from the current model range of Seiko Tunas. Now, of course, before I leave you all, I'm going to provide you with a wrist shot so you can see what this watch looks like on a 7¼ inch wrist. And for your viewing pleasure, this is what the SNE499 is going to look like for all of your admirers. And when you are going to admire it, it's going to look a little something like this. And it's hard to tell by just looking at the wrist shot, but I can say that this wears much more favorably to the larger SBBN015 I own. But it has all the charm of that same watch with its dial aesthetic. It's a very, very good choice if you are looking for a more affordable Seiko Tuna, especially at its sub $400 price range. And here's what its older brother, the Marine Master 300, looks like on the wrist. And if you can't tell, it is wearing just a little bit larger, and it has a lot of bit more heft on the wrist. One other thing to note is that you get a signed crown with the current and previous model ranges of the Seiko Tuna. You don't have a signed crown on the SNE. Now, of course, be on the lookout for the full review of the SNE499 here on the channel. But until then, thank you for joining me. If you found this video enlightening or in the least entertaining, feel free to hit that like button. It looks a little something like this guy. If you have friends, forums, or groups that were interested in picking up the new Solar Tuna, feel free to share this video with them so they have a better sense of how it compares to the previous generation Tunas. Also, if you are new to the channel, well then welcome. I do videos like this 2 or more times a week. So if you're interested in watch content, feel free to hit that subscribe button. It lets me know you're down for the show. And if you want to see my videos precisely when they air, you can hit the bell icon just next to that. Again, my name is Patrick Marlatt, and thank you for the time.